I have a client right now whose grandfather was in the Wehrmacht on the Eastern Front, and he was captured by the Soviets. And when I look up the history of this, I see 10% of the German soldiers captured by the Soviets survived in hellish conditions. And so we determined, using the pendulum, with her holding it, that he was energetically attached to her. And when he came out of her, she said she could see him as half human and half black, just almost like a grotesque, evil aspect that was attached to half of him.
Welcome to the Wellness Amazon podcast, where we talk about everything body, mind, and spirit, health, and wellness. No subject is taboo here, and we have fun peeling back all the layers. Let's do this. Oh, welcome everybody to a new episode. Today, we're going to go back a little bit to energetic soul and spirit things because that's also part of wellness. And I am very, very pleased that today we have a subject that I have been hoping someone would come my way that I could talk to about this. And this is past life regressions. I'm sure most people have heard about it, but today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what is this and how do we get there and why is it important? And now welcome to the show, Peter McLaughlin, who is an expert in that and who is actually a hypnotherapist first and foremost. I think most of your work is about hypnotherapy, life coach, and NLP trained. If you have never heard of NLP, that is neuro-linguistic programming. So, Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Melina. I'm happy to be here with you. Two people in Florida.
Yes, two people in Florida who didn't know they were in Florida. So before we even get into it, how does one get into this kind of stuff?
I suppose there's a million paths to a place like this, and mine was based on a crisis. It was based on a health crisis. It was asymptomatic, volunteering for my fire department in my town in Connecticut, and the extensive physical turned up Lyme disease and a rare form of leukemia on the same day. And this really just started an odyssey, like Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. Like just it was like all of these crazy things that I started to experience and encounter because I was looking. The medical authorities were saying, we don't know what causes this. We don't know how to cure it. When I asked how long I had, they said, maybe 10 years. My kids were little at the time. This was 23 years ago. And I just thought, I'm going to have to figure this out. And it was that searching, that curiosity driven by fear and a desire to live longer that brought me to all of these different places, like Odysseus. And it finally brought me to this concept of the power of the mind over the body. And that was the initial driver of deciding, all right, I want to be an expert in the mind, specifically the subconscious mind, because it's our subconscious mind that is the vast powerhouse of that part of us, and it controls our body through the autonomic nervous system. And I thought, that's what I have to learn. I have to learn that if I'm going to have any chance at extending my lifespan.
Yeah. Those are usually the most beautiful stories and also very common, actually, that people get to this incredible life journey because of a dire need or trauma or, somebody telling them you're going to die, which it's a beautiful thing that people, like what you said, because of the love of life, the I want to live, that then births a whole different pathway.
It's a good way of saying it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So past life regression, I want to just nitpick on that word for a second, because regression means stepping back, going backwards, right? Are we calling this regression because in order to explore a past life, so something that's behind us, we have to go step back?
Yes. And the quantum truth of it, according to quantum physicists, is that there really is no time.
Mhm,
It's our conscious mind that constructs quote unquote the illusion of time. And so we say past and we say regression to make it make sense to our conscious mind
mhm,
that it's something that happened earlier. But again, in this quantum reality, from what we're taught, everything is happening simultaneously. And this is also an important concept to me because if you're able to travel into what we call a past lifetime
mhm.
and find and heal a trauma, find and rescue an earlier version of you, it makes sense that it would affect everything because everything is now.
Yeah. So you're saying, let's say layers. There's layers of different lives in what we're exploring, right? Just so I can, because you're right. It's hard to visualize when somebody says it's not, time isn't real, right? So I immediately go, what?
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
it's
because we
difficult.
notice the effects of time in
Mm-hmm.
our daily life. So there's two things I want to say. One is we have a planet that's rotating on its own axis.
Mm-hmm.
That gives us day and night. And then it's rotating around the sun, and that gives us the seasons and it gives us what we call a year. But you can imagine that just outside of that, if you just stepped outside of that paradigm, the universe is so large we can't understand it. You just step
Right.
right outside of that, there would be no time because you don't have you're not standing on a rock that's spinning on its own axis and it's simultaneously rotating around the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The other metaphor for me that early on helped me understand this concept was imagine a high-rise building. Let's say it has 27 floors. And you and I right now are on the fourth floor. We're living our lives. We're having this conversation. We're talking about past lives. We're getting to know each other. We don't have really an awareness on floors 1 through 3 or floors 5 through 27, but we can accept that they exist
Yeah.
simultaneously. The people on all those other floors are also living their lives at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could say that the elevator that takes us, that we go, hey, let's go to the 17th floor. You and I get on the elevator and we go up 13 floors to the 17th floor. The elevator is like our consciousness, where we can travel to different floors in this high rise building where everything's happening at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, what I like what you said that makes total sense is that when one thing happens in one lifetime, it has an effect. And
Hmm.
it has an effect through, like a pearl necklace, through all the other ones probably into your maybe wounds that you then carry, right?
Yes.
So, how do you even uncover this kind of stuff? How do I envision this that you go, "Oh, I think this is what we have to do with you."
Yeah, it's a great question. So, what one reason might be that a person has either recurring dreams or they've got a really powerful dream.
Mhm.
Whether it's at night sleeping and they have this dream of living in another lifetime, or it might be just an inner knowing. It might be when they travel to some place and they're like, I've been here before. I know I've been here before. It might be when they go to a museum or they watch a movie or they read a book and they're like, they have some kind of physical sensations, as I say, like an inner knowing that
Mhm.
they're resonating with this time period. It could be people that keep going to Renaissance fairs. Like they can't stop going to Renaissance fairs and they don't know why.
Yeah.
The way I typically do it is it starts with your body is a feedback mechanism. So the reason that you knew that your husband was the guy that you wanted to marry is because you ultimately felt it.
Mhm.
The reason you know you like someone is because you feel the feedback coming to you like, I feel comfortable, I feel seen, I feel understood, I feel recognized, I feel safe. And the same thing on the other end of the spectrum. If you're walking down the street at night and you hear footsteps behind you and the hairs go up on the back of your neck, the rest of your body's telling you, I don't feel safe.
Mhm.
Well, your body is speaking to you all the time about everything. It's just we're so disconnected from our bodies. wearing rubber-soled shoes and living inside under artificial lighting and so on, that we're not really aware of what our body is telling us all the time. When you go to put an apple in your mouth, your body's going to have an opinion about that. When you put artificial sweetener in your mouth, your body's going to have an opinion about that too.
Yeah.
So in order to access body as feedback mechanism, I have clients use a pendulum. I have one. Yeah, I've got one right here. So a pendulum looks like this. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be something that is made specifically as a pendulum. It could be a piece of dental floss with a ring tied to it.
Mhm.
And what the pendulum ultimately is an amplifier of what your body is already saying. So I don't think you're anything other than you're having micro movements that are created by your subconscious mind, because subconscious mind is in charge of your body, it controls your body. And those micro movements will produce a specific movement in the pendulum for you that indicates yes and indicates no.
Mhm.
Once we have that established for you, because you're holding it, not me, now we can validate it and we can say, have you say in your mind or out loud, am I 785 feet tall? We want that pendulum to move in the no direction. If it's moving in the
Mhm.
no direction, we're like, okay, this is good.
Mhm.
And then we have you ask, is this a good time for me to ask questions and receive accurate answers? We want to see a yes. If
Mhm.
we see a yes, it's like, okay, we're moving along. This is good. I would take another step normally with people and say, is my higher self controlling this pendulum now, fully and completely for my greatest and highest good? We want a yes to that. The reason I want that question asked is because of something that we were talking about, you and I, before we went live, and that is the whole concept of spiritual entity attachments that can influence your thoughts. It can influence your life. And we don't want your pendulum
Yeah.
influenced by something other than your higher self. So
Mhm.
once we've established all that, now we go for what I do, which is root cause. I'm always interested in root cause, just like your
Mhm.
car mechanic is interested in root cause. And if you took your car into a mechanic because there was smoke coming out of the engine and they said, oh boy, don't know what's causing this, but I have the solution for you. We're going to install a fan to blow the smoke away so you can see as you drive down the road. And you're going to be like,
Right.
great, that sounds like a perfect plan.
Sure.
So you want instinctively your mechanic to be root cause. You want them to trace the symptom
Mhm.
to the bowels of the engine, let's say, to a part that's dry rotted, or it's come loose, or it's failed in some way, and now something liquidy is spraying onto something hot, and that's creating the smoke. And when they fix that, the smoke goes away. That's how I approach every single client that I work with, regardless of what they're dealing with. I want to know, what is the root cause here. So if the root cause to their migraine headaches happens to be in a past lifetime, we're going to go to that past lifetime. And the way we find it is with them holding the pendulum. So
Mhm.
the next question would be, is the root cause to the migraine headaches something that happened? Is it the result of a trauma? It's always going to be a yes. So
Mhm.
let's say it's a yes. And then we'll say, is it a trauma? Is the root cause of this a trauma that happened earlier in my present life? Let's say it gets a no. All right, now it's got to be a past life, but we still have them ask it. Is the root cause something that happened in a past lifetime? Yes. Now we know we have to go to a past life. Does that make
Yeah.
sense in terms of
Yeah.
answering your question about how do you
Mhm.
even know?
Mhm.
You're taking almost like enormous possibilities. And with the pendulum that the client is holding, you're narrowing it down, narrowing it down, narrowing it down until you have the target.
And it's
And you can even you could use the information that we just hypothetically collected about a past life being the origin of their migraine headaches. But you could winnow it down even more if you wanted to, and thus get to it faster. So it could be, did I suffer some kind of a trauma to my head in that past lifetime? Yes, let's say. Did it uh, was I killed as a result of this trauma? Yes or no? Did it happen in a crime? Did it happen in battle? Did it happen as a result of an accident? And once you get that, then it just means when you go back to the past lifetime, you don't have to spend as much time exploring that past lifetime. You can, but it takes a while.
Yeah. And what you were saying about the micro movements with the pendulum, I mean, that's just kinesiology essentially, and
It's
there's science
exactly what it
behind it.
is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, and instead of, pushing down on your arm
Mhm.
to get weak or strong with your arm, you're just
Mhm.
using a pendulum.
Yeah.
I find the pendulum for me is way more, accurate and easy to use, and I've have found that over the years with my clients.
Mhm.
And it's something you can do by yourself. You don't need someone else to push down on you or use your fingers like this, which I don't find as accurate for me as the pendulum.
Yeah. And I mean, I have worked with pendulums and yeah, everybody don't come at me and call me a witch or some weird stuff. We're past this right now. Um i- in a more I don't know, maybe spiritual sense, so not as scientific as what you actually do where I would know that, right? I was very young, so I didn't have that knowledge of, micro movements and all that stuff. The only thing that I knew was I'm either getting an answer from above or I have the answer inside of me and I already know intuitively and I just haven't spoken it out loud. But what if people are skeptical about the whole pendulum thing, and this is just my personal experience, is as the person holding it is crazy the sensations that you feel because you have it in your hand, you know how heavy it is, you feel it, it doesn't change, you just hold your arm, and out of a sudden it gets someone is pulling. It gets so heavy, like it feels like somebody is yanking it. I mean, not very forcefully or fast, but there is a pull to either one side or the other side or in a circle or whatnot. And you don't know what I'm talking about until you hold it yourself and you feel that there is something going on. But it's fascinating and it's also really reassuring. Do you ever have people that come to you and it's my favorite question, that's why I'm asking it a little bit early probably, um, who are just misconceptions, who I don't know, do not understand what you're doing, have the wrong idea about this, and you have to be like, no, that's not what I do.
Most of the people who come to me are are self-selected in some way. So I have a YouTube channel that has 270 pieces of content, something like that, and 130,000 subscribers. So there's a lot of people that know me from there, and that means that they've already been they've pre-screened themselves in a sense.
Mhm.
Or they're people who have come based upon a friend or a family member who's worked with me, and it's a referral in that way. The people that come that just found me on the internet have been searching for, a hypnotist. Like, you're not gonna just go to a hypnotist first thing. It's gonna be
Yeah.
something like the situation I was in where nothing else is working. And
Mhm.
now you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go a little farther afield to find the answer to my question. I also feel like because of my past, I've done so many mainstream things. And I think I can communicate in a way that bridges the gap between the physical five sense reality that we all live in, which is really a very small version of reality, and and the spiritual that's outside of it in a way that doesn't make people raise their eyebrows. I think I can speak in a colloquial language, in a language that's understandable by most people, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, that kinda makes sense to me." Because
Mhm.
one of the things that I say to people about the pendulum is, A, it's a amplifier of what your body's already telling you, and
Mhm.
B, ev you've had this experience, Melina. I don't know you, but you've had this experience along with everyone listening to this podcast, which is you've got a big, important decision to make. You're really hung up. You don't know which way to go. Am I gonna
Mhm.
go left or right? Yes or no? You don't know. You can make good arguments for both. And you start talking to your friends and family. And what do they say to you? They say things like, "What does your heart tell you?
Mhm.
What does your gut tell you?
Mhm.
What does your intuition tell you? Sleep on it." Everyone acknowledges that there is this deeper wisdom that we have
Mhm.
access to. And the language itself of heart and gut is talking about the body.
Mhm. Mhm.
The sleep on it, what does that mean? That means allow your conscious mind to become unconscious
Yeah.
so that your subconscious mind can wrestle with this problem and give you the solution perhaps in the morning when you wake up, or maybe it gives you the solution via a dream. And a lot of
Mhm.
people push the dream away because it's usually speaking in metaphor. But once people understand this, how they can connect what's already happened in their lifetime with what we're doing, it's like, oh, okay, there's a bridge I can walk over that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So the misconception, for all the reasons I stated, is not it's not usually a factor other than people coming in with a misconception about what hypnosis is
Mhm.
versus what they how it was projected to them. So we live in a culture that's using these words all the time: hypnosis, hypnotize, mesmerize. Cartoons,
Yeah.
lyrics of popular songs, TV shows, movies, the newspaper, the newscaster even throws around these words, and it
Mhm.
implies one person controlling another, where that
Yeah.
other person, the subject, does whatever they're told. They don't remember anything. They're in a catatonic sleep-like state. And so it's important to level set with people, again, by using examples from their own life of when they've been in hypnosis. They just didn't know that's what it was. And they're like, oh, okay. So you could call that a misconception, but it's cleared up very fast.
Yeah. Well, and thanks to certain people who are doing hypnosis on other people, and
Mm.
I'm not shooting them down. I'm not saying they can. Obviously they can, but then it's like a party trick kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and you see these videos of people on stage clucking like a chicken. You know,
Yep.
that would become scary because I'm giving up complete control. I'm vulnerable and you can do whatever you want me to do. That's scary for people. So that's where I think, people do have the wrong idea about hypnosis.
Well, and that's that's what it implies,
Mm,
because what we've been taught about hypnosis has all come from entertainment. I'm quite sure that when you were growing up, you didn't have a class in the scientific basis of hypnosis.
yeah.
Even psychologists do not get educated about hypnosis, or psychiatrists. So everyone's left with what they have, which is entertainment.
Yeah.
And not everyone can do what you see in a Las Vegas stage show. What you're seeing there is a tiny subset of the audience, say 500 people, and there's only a handful of people that can do what you see up there on the stage. And the
Yeah.
hypnotist is giving tests to find 1 to 3 people that can do that. And once they have their 1 to 3 people, they're good to go.
Hmm.
But
No.
those subjects are few and far between.
Yeah. Interesting. Didn't know that. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I
I
mean,
thought it.
if you've ever been to a hypnotic show for entertainment, one of the first things that they'll do is come out on stage, introduce themselves, and then say to the audience, "Oh, all right, I want everybody in the audience to put your hands together like this. Clasp them as tightly as you can. Imagine it's a single block of wood. If you were to try to take them apart, they would just fuse tighter and tighter and tighter, like a powerful adhesive is holding them together, 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 together. If you try to remove them apart, they just go tighter, 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 all welded together. Now try and see that they're welded together." Most of the audience is going to go like that. But you're gonna get about, I don't know, 20 or 30% of the audience is like, "I can't move my hands apart."
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the people that couldn't move their hands apart come up on the stage.
Hmm.
They're gonna start with about 25 people on the stage, and they're gonna give them more tests, more things to do, and they're gonna start saying they're gonna dismiss people. Some people are gonna dismiss themselves. They're gonna be left with about half, about 12. But this is out of 500.
Yeah.
And out of those 12, they're gonna have 1 to 3 people who are the stars of the show. These are people that go into a really deep state of hypnosis and they
Hmm.
want to play.
Hmm. Hmm.
They've seen
Okay.
this before, so there's an expectation in their mind of how this goes.
Hmm.
And they're in front of a large audience of people. Maybe they're not used to that. All the lights are on them. The music is playing, and the 1 to 3 people are going to lead it, and the others are going to kind of follow along. So when you see a row of people that are like sleeping on each other, it's 1 to 3 people that are really there, deep, 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 and the rest of them are just sort of playing along to a
Hmm.
degree. They're relaxed, it feels good. And as humans, we want to kind of follow the program. We want to
Mhm.
follow each other. And there's so many psychological studies that prove this,
Yeah.
that we don't feel comfortable going a different direction from everyone else. Just, you know, go into a black tie event and wear cutoff shorts and a t-shirt. See how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. There's so many experiments about humans following other humans, actually kinda scary
It is kind of
sometimes
scary.
'cause
It's very scary. And it's great for us all to educate ourselves on these things so
Mhm.
that when something happens in the larger world, you can often see through it and say, "Oh, I see what's happening."
Mhm. And that's when you are in that state of mind, it's actually even scarier because you look around it and you see the people that can't maybe do that or they're not there
Yes.
yet. It seems like I always say they're not awake, they're not
Yes.
and it's like, how? How can you not see this?" And I mean, the news is like the perfect example,
Yep.
Back in the day, I don't wanna derail this, but back in the day, they tried a little harder to cover their stuff up, and nowadays it's just all out in the open, at least for me, and then there's
Yeah.
people that sit there and say, "What? No. Are you crazy?" And I was like, "How do you not did you not just listen?" It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's that whole concept from the movie The Matrix, red pill versus the blue
Mhm.
pill.
Mhm.
And it's also aligned with the saying that consciousness once raised cannot be lowered.
Mhm.
So once you
Ooh.
take the red pill, you
Mm.
can't go back, which is exactly what they say in The Matrix. That's what Morpheus says to Neo in The Matrix.
Mhm.
You hear the two options, but you have to know that if you take the red one, there's no going back.
Thank God. Really, this is a fear of mine sometimes, where I think, like, if I spend too much time on this or with you, I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm like, going backwards. But that's good to know that that can't happen.
Yeah, consciousness once raised cannot be lowered. That.
Good, good. So I know a couple of people that have had these past life, let's just say experiences. I don't want to say regression because not all of the people I know did this purposely, right? With someone. I know people that did it with someone like you. It's usually always hypnosis. And then one person had it kind of accidentally with a very deep gateway kind of meditation, altered state of mind happening.
Mhm,
Um, totally unguided. So it was just there.
mhm,
So I'm assuming that if you want to do this, let's say actively, you're actively seeking this out, right? I come to you, we talk about, it's great. We talk about migraines. I actually have migraines. So this is not even hypothetical. And you say, well, Melina, we pendle. And you say, obviously, this problem comes from a different lifespan that you had, and this happened. How do we get to the point where we can actually go, like you said, because that seems like you wanted to also explain that this is now a little bit more complicated and takes more time to explore that life and to recall these experiences and these memories, probably, I would assume, in my subconscious, because consciously, I don't remember anything of that, right?
mhm.
So, how does that work?
Okay. So the first thing that I'd like to just point out is that I I'm not telling you it happened in a past lifetime. You're
Hmm.
telling me,
Hmm.
and more specifically, your subconscious mind is telling both of us through the action of your body via the movement of the pendulum. So
Hmm.
this is where it gets into belief, disbelief, and all these things. So I've had people use the pendulum. They're getting a yes on the root cause of their issue is in a past lifetime. And then they say to me, "Oh, but I don't think it happened in a past lifetime. That
Hmm.
can't be." And so then
Hmm.
I would say, and this is, a small number of people, I would say, "Then why are you getting yes to that question?" Just kind of put it back on them and ask them,
Yeah.
just like, what's the answer there? And they look at me with their wide eyes and their mouth is open. They're like, "I have no answer to that question. Are you willing to do the past life? You don't have to. Are you willing to do it?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, I think I should do this."
Hmm. And you would think it would be the opposite, actually. If someone does believe or let's say, wants to believe that, no, no, it should be a no, that they would try, maybe even subconsciously, influence the pendulum to say no. But then
That's
if
right.
your subconscious is so clear that it goes into
Yeah.
a direction that you didn't think was possible, yeah,
Yep.
no, sorry, there's no fight in that, you know?
No, I don't think there is. And that's one of the reasons I love using the pendulum and having the client hold it, not me.
Mhm. Yep.
Because I've often said that the work that I do transforms a client almost into their own psychic. They're able to tap into the same abilities that a psychic has because we all have them. And some people can throw a ball 97 miles an hour. Some people can throw it 30 miles an hour, but everybody can throw a ball.
Mhm.
Some people just have a gift, but everybody can do it. And the more you practice something, the better at it you get.
Mhm.
And it's the same with this. And so much of a block, like if someone attempts to do this and they can't get there, they just see all black. And this is something that everyone who's done past life regression has run into. And I've been doing this work for 20 years, and I spent a long time thinking through these blocks and trying different things. And what I have come to realize is that the subconscious, its job, its role is to protect you. And one of the ways that it protects you is it can suppress things from earlier in this life. You can block things out. And you're
Yep.
not necessarily doing it consciously, it's doing it subconsciously. And it's
Mhm.
not doing this to harm you, it's doing this to prevent you from re-experiencing that pain.
Mhm.
But the problem is, it's like keeping a splinter inside of your toe.
Yep.
It's it's not healthy.
Nope.
Even though it's painful to take it out,
Mhm.
it's worse to leave it in. And it's the
Yep.
same with old, painful, traumatic, emotional wounding. It's okay that you don't experience it in the moment because you need to get through it. But there has to be some time at which you can do a spring cleaning where you can flush it out, where you don't have to carry this anymore because that painful energy is going to impact your life in other ways.
I could not agree more. I mean, like you said, that splinter analogy was beautiful because, yeah, it's going to get infected. And then, it's in your toe. And if you don't take it out, you have to take off the whole. I mean, it's just no good. I had trauma blocking in my life where I had to work through with different modalities through getting things up and journaling and tapping and all of these things. And then it was in my
Mhm.
tissues. And then we had to like massage it out. And it was full blown crying. And all these memories came up. I was like, I did not remember any of this. And we don't even have to talk about past lives that happened in my
Yes,
childhood.
yes.
And it's a
And that
thing.
it is a thing. And that takes me back to that scientific reality that there is no time.
Hmm.
To the subconscious, it's irrelevant whether in your case it happened earlier in your present life or it happened in the past life. There's no
Hmm.
difference.
Yeah.
And back to that concept of everyone has already had this experience before. You've had the experience of no time. When you're
Hmm.
in love early on in your relationship, you're sitting there drinking wine in a restaurant and looking out over the ocean or something. And then the sun starts going down. You're like, what time is it?
Hmm.
Oh my God, we've been here for 4 hours. To you,
Hmm.
it felt like you were there for half an hour
Yep.
watching a movie. You're so absorbed in the movie ends, the credits roll, and you're like, what? 2 hours? I feel like I've been here for 20 minutes. This happens constantly to us as humans. When you're asleep, how long was I sleeping? Well,
Hmm.
how come you don't know how long you were sleeping? Because you entered the subconscious realm, and the subconscious realm mirrors the quantum reality. There's no time.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
conscious mind, which is about 5% of your brain's processing power that everybody
Hmm.
identifies with. Oh, that's me. That's not me. This is 5% of your brain,
Hmm.
you know? And when you get that out of the way, either through hypnosis or through body work or through a psychedelic or through a dream or through a fever or through breathing exercises, you can go
Hmm.
right there
Yep.
because there's another part of you that doesn't want to hold this trauma anymore, that wants to resolve it. And that's the part of you that spontaneously brings you to it when the monkey mind's out of the way.
Hmm. I always say there is a door. To me,
Yeah.
I literally feel like there is a door in my head, and that door goes to the subconscious. And
Yes.
once I open that door, it's a whole new world. Okay. And I want to ask you a question. So, out of personal experience, and I'm asking this because I think maybe some listeners have the same thing. When you, in my journey, so I'm starting to do the journaling and the tapping and all of that stuff, and I'm starting to go through certain old wounds, traumas, and stuff like this. And it's like a layer of an onion. So we do the first thing. "Oh, okay, we worked through this. It's cleared, doesn't trigger me anymore." Out of a sudden, there's another thing coming up and another thing coming up. And then we go down that road, right? Now I've worked so much on my this present life traumas, right? That out of a sudden, I'm getting things come up, physical reactions to things that I should not be scared of, that have nothing to do with me. And I give you an example. So, working through all of these layers, and out of a sudden, when I hear sirens, and I'm not talking about firefighters or anything like this, I'm talking about like bomb shelter sirens. I get a physical reaction to it. I get panic. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, and I think you have heard this 1,000 times in your life from either stories or on TV or whatever. Never have I had a reaction like this. And immediately I thought, that's not from this time. And then I'm German, right? So I'm thinking, well, yeah, duh. All of your grandparents, all of your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, I can go down 4 lines and tell you that they have all been through a war with set sirens and bunkers. So now I'm, you know, just common sense kind of thing going on. I think like, okay, maybe we worked through so much of this time that now other stuff's coming up from other lifetimes. Is that possible?
100%. I'd be
Okay.
staggered if it wasn't that.
Mm,
I mean, I start with a hypothesis and then go right to the pendulum with you holding it in this case. But that would
mm,
be my primary thought is, yeah, you're carrying war trauma from what we would call an earlier time. And yes, Germany went through absolute hell. I have a client right now whose grandfather was in the Wehrmacht on the
mhm.
Eastern Front, and he
Wow.
was captured by the Soviets. And I love history, and when I look up the history of this, I see 10% of the soldiers, the German soldiers captured by the Soviets, survived
Mhm,
in hellish conditions. And so we determined, using the pendulum, with her holding it, that uh, that he was energetically attached to her based on
okay.
his trauma in World War II. And when he came out of her, she said she could see him as half human and half black.
Mhm,
Just just almost like a grotesque,
mhm,
evil aspect that was attached to half of him. So
mhm.
yes, we had to resolve, in this case, his trauma to resolve hers.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so how does the process work if someone comes to your office? Again, I'm a visual person, so I'm now imagining I'm probably gonna like, I would say lay down, maybe, I don't know. And we go through this and I open up my subconscious mind with your help, obviously, to get into this past life or that memory so I can see pictures, right? Do I envision this correctly?
Um, I'm going to say yes, maybe, and no. What I
Mhm.
mean by this is that it depends on the person and it depends on what we're working on. Sometimes I have them in a seated position and sometimes I have them reclining. Over the years, I've learned how to move through things faster because
Mhm.
that's always my interest is the person sitting in front of me wants this problem resolved. And the sooner we can get this done, the more efficient we can get it done, the better it is ultimately for them. So the other piece of your question is, am I going to see pictures? Well, in our present lifetime, there's an acronym VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic,
Mhm.
how people primarily interact with the world. So there are visual learners, visual people that primarily interact with the world visually, people that primarily interact auditorily and kinesthetically through touch. It doesn't mean that the kinesthetic person doesn't also hear, doesn't also see. They do, but their primary
Right.
representational system. This is also
Mhm.
a a a learning from neuro-linguistic programming. This is what NLP talks about. And if you are in a conversation with a kinesthetic person and you're visual, you're naturally going to use visual predicates like I see what you're saying. And
Mhm.
they're going to be on the I kind of feel I resonate with what you're saying, which is auditory, or I hear what you're saying, which is auditory, or I feel, that's right. And these people can miss each other because each one is approaching the world in the way they experience the world, but they happen to be off kilter. And so one of the things NLP teaches you to do is assess or listen for what the other person is. And when you understand what their system is, you match it. And then you start matching them and they feel like, oh wow, this person really gets me. It's wild. In
Mhm.
class, we would purposely match and then purposely mismatch. And when you purposely mismatch, you find yourself going, like, even though you want to pay attention, you're like this. And this is
Mhm.
why public schooling systems, which were designed by visually oriented people, are so terrible for kinesthetic people. That's why they end up sending them to the vocational school where they work with
Mhm.
their hands
Yep.
because those people have a really hard time paying attention and understanding because they're being missed with how the teaching is being delivered.
I have
So
one of those.
a long way of saying that I make it clear to people that it's important to allow this experience to unfold in whatever way it wants to unfold. I'll give you a real world example that I've had occur many, many times. Person's in hypnosis, let's say they're reclining. I know they're in hypnosis, which is just a focused state of concentration where the body's relaxed. And they're they're saying, I'm not seeing a thing. Nothing. It's all black. Took me years to
Mhm.
get to this, by the way. And then I say, all right, well, what's your body doing? Is your body seated, standing, or lying down? Oh, I'm lying down. Okay. We have a connection, right? And
Yeah.
then I'll say, all right, I want you to stand up. Are you standing? Yep. What are you standing on? Is it dirt? Is it sand? Is it gravel? Is it stone? Is it brick? Is it wood? What are you standing on? I'm standing on something cold. It feels like stone. Great. Walk in any direction until you encounter a wall. Okay, I got the wall. All right, put your left hand on the wall and just start following the wall until you encounter a window or a door. Okay, I got a window. Look out the window. What do you see? I see stars. Reason it's dark is because it's nighttime.
Mhm.
They're in a room with no light. But we could have thought, oh, that's not working.
Right.
And the way we accessed the visual was through the kinesthetic. I'm lying
Mhm.
down, kinesthetic. I'm standing on stone. It's cold, kinesthetic. Walk over to a wall, touch it, kinesthetic.
Mhm.
So it's important to allow it to be whatever it wants to be without assuming, because we all live in a visual culture. We went to visual schools,
Mhm.
that it has to be visual. It doesn't. And your lead representational system may be kinesthetic, it may be auditory. Mine's auditory.
Yeah.
When I do my daily meditation, I meet with my spirit guides. I meet with this dog right here who passed away a couple of years ago every day.
Oh.
And the visual is usually just sort of fuzzy, hazy. Sometimes a specific aspect like eyes or hair, something will come through, but usually it's fuzzy. And every so often everything is crystal clear. But it's that way for a reason, and it doesn't matter. What
Mhm.
comes through clearly to me is the auditory. I can hear what they're saying. And so I've learned to just go with that.
Yeah.
And I've also learned something that everyone who's ever been to the theater or been to a movie or watched TV, which is everyone, to suspend disbelief while you're experiencing the movie. You don't
Mhm.
stand up halfway through and say, I don't understand what's going on. They're just actors. Yeah, I know. Wait till the movie's over. Have the experience. And then with your friends, talk about it. What you liked, what you didn't like, what you learned, what you didn't learn, the emotions you felt or didn't feel. Not during it. Turn yourself over to it rather than trying to judge it the whole time, because your conscious mind doesn't go away. You're not literally asleep. And this is important to understand about hypnosis. You're just in a focused state of concentration where your body feels relaxed. And this other part of you can come forward, but you can shut it down anytime you want by judging it, saying
Mhm.
it's not working, trying too hard, or pushing it away.
Mhm.
Can I give you an example of the pushing it away thing?
Please.
All right. So I was in a deep state of meditation, meeting with my spirit guides. This is, I don't know, 15 years ago. I was going through a really difficult time in my life. And so I said to the spirit guides, is there an animal that represents what I'm going through right now? I wanted like a jungle cat, like a cougar or a leopard
Yeah.
or a panther or a
Something cool.
lion, something really like powerful, and you don't mess with this. And
Mhm.
so what did I see? Immediately, they showed me a frog, boink, 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 boink. And in my mind, I went, pushed it away, resettled myself, went back to them and said, okay, I'm going through this difficult time. Is there an animal that represents what I'm going through? And I'm ready. Okay, here we go. Boink, 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 boink. And I say to them, I had to, in that moment, I had to just step into humility. I had to surrender,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I knew it. And I had to say, okay, all right, why the frog? And the immediate answer was, because what this pain you're going through now represents a leap forward spiritually. You're leaping forward. I was like, whoa. I almost I tried to push that away. That's deep wisdom. And so I always encourage my clients, let it be whatever it wants to be, even if it makes no sense, because it always will at the end. And another example, if I can indulge in this, in a past life, client is being shown, she says, everything is a cartoon.
Mhm.
It's obviously an earlier time, but everything's a cartoon. And I said, great, let it be a cartoon. So we went through the whole past lifetime. And at the end, I, I said to the client, ask your spirit guide, why was my past lifetime shown to me as a cartoon? Again, immediate answer she got was, because to show it to you any more realistically would have been too painful and too scary.
Ah.
So the spiritual wisdom softened it to
Mhm.
make it more palatable.
Mhm.
Just like the spiritual wisdom will sometimes have the person in first person in their past lifetime. I'm inside my own body. I can see my own hands.
Mhm.
And other times it'll be third person.
Mhm.
I'm an observer from a distance. Well, there's spiritual wisdom in that if you're about to have your head chopped off.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the spiritual wisdom is you don't actually have to have your head waiting for the guillotine to come down.
Yeah.
You can be back from it and observing it third person.
Yeah.
And that's also a technique that I have used with people in the past. That if things start getting super hairy like that, I'll just
Mhm.
move them from first person to third person so they can
Mhm.
see everything that's happening, but feel totally safe while it's happening. And then even in that moment, I'll have them ask their spirit guide, is it important? Is it highest and best for them to continue on through this, let's say, execution or this really scary moment, or can they come back to the sacred space now? And most of the time, the guides just say, no, they can go right back. And so I just take them right out of that moment and bring them back to a sacred space we've established in their mind, because
Yeah.
now they've remembered, they've recalled what they need to recall. They've had the kinesthetic experience of being frightened, of feeling shame or guilt or unfairness or whatever it is, and maybe even recognize some of the other players as people in their present life.
Mhm.
So now we can do the processing, the healing over here. We don't have to wallow in every moment of this past lifetime.
Yeah. And the processing and the healing process then is also, I'm assuming, the process that will detach that person from that,
Yes.
right? Mhm,
Yes.
mhm,
Yes. Now, a lot of people will say, and there's some truth to it, that just revisiting something that's been buried for so long has a salutary healing effect. I
yeah,
believe that that's true. But
mhm,
I also firmly believe that we never, ever, ever take someone into a past lifetime without ensuring that it is healed and integrated. And the healing is so much of it is around forgiveness.
mm, yeah,
That the person that we hurt each other in relationship. You know, the village that condemned this person as a witch and
mhm,
stood by and cheered while she was drowned or burned at the stake. So there's forgiveness between those souls or those spirits of the villagers, the ones that are ready to come forward and apologize for what they did.
mhm,
And for the client in this case to receive that and accept that apology and to forgive them, because if she holds on to it, it's like she's locked to the past too. She's locked to the pain, you know? And then the other concept I have is your past life self is an aspect of you, just
mhm,
like your inner child is an aspect of you. And trauma, we know from heinous things that the CIA has done, MK Ultra,
mhm,
where they have induced trauma on purpose with people to create alters, to fracture off part of the mind and create alters, that's exactly what happens when you suffer a trauma as a child, for example, or you suffer a trauma in a past lifetime, or you suffer
mhm,
a trauma in this life as an adult, is that part of you fractures off. And this is what the shamans meant when they said, you need to go back in time and rescue lost and wounded parts of you. That's exactly what past life regression is, or present regression. It's you in your present incarnation rescuing earlier versions of you.
yeah,
And then we determine by with your spirit guide whether it's in your highest and best interest to integrate this now healed earlier version of you, whether it's an inner child or a previous adult version of you,
mhm,
and reclaim the positive aspects of that. So a wounded inner child, once she's healed and she integrates with you at your present age, she's bringing with her wonder, curiosity, creativity, a desire and a zest for living, energy, youthful energy. And she's getting from you wisdom, experience, grounding, protection, maturity. And when these two come together, it's this beautiful package, which is what we're all supposed to be.
mhm. I've had a, visualization meditation one time, and the only thing that it was, it really was sounds very simple, but you had to imagine yourself as a child between, like, maybe, like, 4 or 5, and you had to go give her a hug and tell her you love her. Holy, I mean, the entire room was crying.
Yes.
Everybody was in tears because it is so heavily emotional. When you so, I guess we all have different, can I say, amounts of past lives, right? So, I don't know what this number can go up to, you know? Um, do you ever have clients where it's like one and done, and then you have a client where it's like, we need to go through like 250 of these past lives?
Never that.
No.
Never. No, because if you think about it, what holds us back in this lifetime is generally a limiting belief, what NLP would call a limiting belief, that
Mhm,
you're not worthy or it's not safe for
mhm.
you to have financial abundance. I'm not talking about your conscious mind, I'm talking about your subconscious mind.
Yep.
That you're not worthy to have a stable, loving relationship. That it's not safe for you to lose a certain amount of weight because you need this armor, you need this protection from the outside world. These kinds of things.
Hmm.
And these limiting beliefs, and a belief is just an idea and an emotion that get married. That's all it is. And the idea part of a belief doesn't have to be true, it doesn't have to be false, it could be partially true, partially false, but it has an emotion attached to it. And
Yeah.
when you do a regression, you're regressing basically to the moment at which this belief was created via a trauma. When you heal that trauma, you're taking out the foundation upon which that belief rests. You're getting it at its root. You're not just cutting the top off the root. You're getting it from its origin. What creates, sustains its existence.
Mhm.
And the subconscious mind is also an associating making mechanism. So when you heal one really significant trauma, hopefully it's the original one, the subconscious then goes to work and it says, okay, what else is like that?
Mhm.
This time when I was in, because you could imagine a past lifetime, either of yours or your grandparents, let's say, in Germany, and maybe they went to bomb shelters multiple times. They heard those sirens all the time. I mean, the
Mhm.
Allies, the Americans were bombing all day long, and the British were bombing at night. It was round the clock bombing, they called it.
Yeah.
And then they must have had, the Soviets coming from the east doing the same thing. So this could have happened how many times? But there's one time at which it was really painful and they
Mhm.
took on some kind of a belief. That's the one that we would want to heal. And then the subconscious later would say, oh, that time we went to the air raid shelter. That time we went to the air raid shelter. This time when we didn't even make it to the air raid shelter, but we heard the
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah.
And if one of the worst ones is now, let's say, safe to the subconscious, it's going to say the other ones must be safe too. They must no
Mhm.
longer be dangerous to us. And the way you would recognize that in your present life is that you would hear that sound in a movie or something, and you wouldn't have the same physiological response, which would be your body communicating to you as a feedback mechanism. This is no longer a clear and present danger.
Yeah. Mhm. And it goes back to what you said in the beginning that all these layers are connected to each other so that if we, like what you said, process one key event, that is the one that connects to all the other lifetimes too, that goes into like a string. So once we have, that's the splinter, right? Once we pull out that splinter, we're usually good on all the other layers too.
Well, yeah, and even on a physiological basis with that example, if you walked around with a splinter in your toe long enough, not only would it get infected, not only would you suffer all the pain every time your foot touched the ground, no, you know, you would probably also be taking over the counter pain relievers. You might be using a cane. It would
Mm.
throw off your spine and you might start getting back pain as a result of this. And
Mhm.
when your spine is off, it might be the base of your skull and it cause sleep who knows?
Mhm.
But by taking out that one splinter, now your body can go back into alignment.
Yeah.
And because you don't need the painkillers anymore, which might be alcohol,
Mhm.
or recreational marijuana or whatever, because you don't need that. Your liver now doesn't have to process all this crap. You're not feeling as sluggish. Your thinking is clearer. So one little splinter, I love this example. One little splinter could
Mhm.
cause this cascade of painful and negative responses
Mhm.
that you might not even be aware of. Might not even be aware that the reason your back is out or you can't do the things that you wanted to do before is related to a relationship problem.
Mhm.
Could be.
Mhm. Yeah. Is it safe to assume that this type of work also clears a lot of phobias that people have?
Oh yeah, that's honestly that's probably the primary reason for phobias,
Oh.
where people have no clue why they get into a panic driving over a bridge or
Mm.
flying on a plane or being on a boat or speaking in public. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with who have it at speaking in public fear. And I almost know now it's either going to be they were humiliated in front of a classroom when they were trying to solve a problem earlier in this life. Like in the fifth grade, they were called in front of the class and they couldn't solve a math problem. And all the kids
Mhm.
laughed at them and the teacher just sat there and watched it.
Mm.
And now they can't speak in public without going into this panic thing.
Mhm.
Or it's a past lifetime where they were executed because executions in the past specifically occurred on a stage.
Yeah.
Like a scaffold is a stage
Yeah.
and there's an audience out there
Mm.
and they're the subject of everyone's attention.
Mhm.
And so the subconscious is like, holy shit, it's happening again. And here comes the physiological response, rapid heartbeat, sweating, you know, like
Yeah.
a sense of doom. I've got to get out of here. And then
Yeah.
the conscious mind's like, why are you freaking out? You're just giving a talk to, 40 people.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I have what is it called? Thalassophobia. So I'm afraid of deep, dark waters, right? And I've had it since I can think, but it has gotten progressively worse. And when I realized what it was, then it was like, oh, that's why these pictures of, I don't know, people on a tiny little boat in the big ocean freak me out. You know? And I do believe that in a past life, and again, this is an assumption, but this is what it feels like to me. It wasn't drowning. I think I have been attacked by a shark or something like that because that's where I think it was very dramatic. But and I have a friend who did not used to be afraid of flying until she got pregnant. And then my thought concept is, did her baby have that attachment and then bring it to her, right, during the pregnancy
Maybe.
and left it with her?
It could be. It could be. It could be that something happened to her either on a plane or something that is similar to a plane when she was pregnant. So
Mm,
when I say similar to a plane, it could we there's so many analogies, so many words that are used that are similar between flying and sailing or being in
mhm,
a ship. Like when planes were first developed and people first started traveling in them, they called them airships,
mhm,
piloted by a captain, just like a captain pilots a ship or helms a
mhm.
ship. An airport, like a port
Yep,
that
true.
a ship comes into.
Even
So
in the German language, we say Flughafen, which is fly harbor.
uh-huh, yes,
So, same thing.
yes. Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that a person could have had a catastrophe aboard a ship, a sailing ship in
Mhm,
a past lifetime, and the subconscious makes the connection with an aircraft.
mhm. Okay.
Or it could be that they died when they were confined somewhere, a collapse of something, and they couldn't get out. And when they get on a plane, it has that same feeling.
Mhm.
So there's always an origin, there's always a reason, and it doesn't have to be it could be, it doesn't have to be that they were in an air disaster. It could be it was a ship or something
Yeah.
else.
The one thing I wanna ask you about, and I didn't wanna derail from our beautiful organic flow. When you talked about you talking to your spirit guides and the thing with the frog, this is something I really wanna ask you if you have a tip for all of us, because I do believe that no matter if that's hypnosis or meditation or even in dreams, maybe for some people, the problem of expectation, right? I run into this problem in every time I meditate. I have the best meditations when I go in with no expectation. Usually, by the way, the no expectation comes from the expectation of, oh, this is just not, today's probably not going to be a good day, blah, 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 right? So that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to psych myself out of it. And that apparently works better than anything else because once I have an expectation of, there's a goal, right? So at the end of this meditation, I want to be smarter. I want to know more. I want my spirit guides to show me all these things, blah, 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 blah. Nothing happens. Um, and I can assume that when people come to you and they are blocked with an expectation like this, that this can be very disruptive in that process as well. Do you have anything that you tell your clients to help nix these expectations and go in more with an open mind and, just like a clean slate almost?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is that, uh, and I'll reiterate the earlier advice, and that is to allow it to be whatever it wants to be, which really is a form of surrender
Mhm.
because we're dealing with intelligence and wisdom that goes far beyond our conscious mind,
Yeah.
far beyond our conscious mind. And if you think about our greatest power as humans, it really is the power of creativity. We can create something in the physical world that has never existed before, like a ship, like an airplane, like an MRI machine, like a cell phone. These things that are unbelievable, but someone has to have imagined something that doesn't yet exist.
Mhm.
And the imagination doesn't come from the push through it willpower. It doesn't come from trying harder. It actually comes from relaxing more, letting
Yeah.
go more, like sleep. And that's where hypnosis comes in. That's where meditation comes in. But reminding yourself to let it be whatever it wants to be, because you don't know what is highest and best for you right now. You don't know in what way the message is best communicated to you. Like for me, it was
Mhm.
this frog, and I wanted the leopard
Mhm.
or the panther. You know, that was my will. That was my willpower. That was my will force. That was my conscious desire. But I wasn't surrendering to what is, which really is way more powerful and intelligent and wise than my conscious mind is. So that's
Mhm.
the first thing. That's the most important part. And give yourself the 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 permission to tear it apart when the experience is over, just like a movie.
Mhm.
Suspend your disbelief, surrender to what's happening, and tell yourself, that antsy part of you that I call the village idiot. Tell the village idiot that it'll get a chance to say whatever it wants to say, ask any questions it wants to ask when it's all over.
Mhm.
So that's the first and most important one. Um, about, and this is about the expectation about, oh yeah, and then the other one is yeah, we just don't know almost anything. Like even when something horrible happens, we don't know if this is ultimately actually really trying to teach us something, or if
Mhm.
it's in our best interest. We don't know. And and I guess this is a form of humility. And the older I get, the more I recognize the importance of humility. You know, yes, it's a human attempting to do always what I think is the best outcome for me and my family and everything else. But at the end of that, recognizing I don't have all the answers, not anywhere near close to them.
Yeah.
And some days for me in my meditation, I see the fuzzy images, I feel relaxed. Um, I ask the guides, is there anything you want me to know? And they say, we love you. That's it. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll take that. And other
Mhm.
times they're sharing with me like this. They said, when you're in the sun, you're being upgraded. The sun is an information field, and you're actually being upgraded. And that they said, quote, it it expands your spiritual vascular system.
Mhm.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
to expect that that's going to happen every time is to lack humility.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself of this all the time. Just accept whatever's coming. And that every
Mhm.
day is not going to be, oh my God, it's the best day ever. Like
Right. Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
the
because they
same
know
in your
better.
relationship. Your relationship goes like this.
Yeah. They know better
It's
than
not
you.
always fireworks and bells and everything else.
Mhm.
And it's all part of the same whole. It becomes little pieces of the same whole. So the tip is just relax, accept whatever comes. Don't decide in the moment it has to be this or that. You're not trying to steer the boat in the moment. Just let it come to you. Let it be what it wants to be. And sometimes it's going to be this unbelievably ground shaking experience. And other times it's just going to be, hey, there's another day at the meeting with my guides where they told me they loved me, which is a beautiful thing too.
Mhm. Yeah. Surrender is a big subject that always comes up on the podcast. It's very important and
Yes.
a
And I would
very
say the word expectation is really where we have all of our conflict with other human beings, because we or they are expecting something and we don't get the same thing back that we were expecting. We get
Mhm.
less than we were expecting. We never have a problem if we get more than we're expecting. We always have a problem if we get less than we're expecting, different
Yeah.
or whatever. And so this is, I agree with you, a huge topic.
Mm.
Whoever told me you were gonna live to be 95? Whoever told you that? Whoever told you that life is fair?
Mhm.
Whoever told you that you weren't gonna feel any pain? This is all part of what we're dealing with, and I think having that expectation of there is this other part of me that can connect with the divine. I'm dealing with a higher level of intelligence and wisdom. It's not always gonna be like watching the best movie of my life, and to be okay with that, in that humility. And
Yeah.
to have that deep probing openness of what was that dream about last night? It doesn't make any sense. But it doesn't make any sense to my conscious mind. But if I write it out, if I meditate on it, the answer will come. If I use my pendulum, the answer will come.
Mhm.
If I think creatively, if I think in terms of metaphor, what could this be representing? The answer will come.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. I mean, it can be a very difficult concept for people, and I think there's a little bit of a programming going on too in our
Yeah.
society because expectation, so knowing what to expect is a safety mechanism so I don't get startled or I know what's coming or I get something out of it, right? I'm being productive, quote unquote. I'm using my time wisely because at the end of the meditation it did something, whatever. It's just we're taught that being in control is a good thing all the time, unfortunately. And that letting
Yes.
go, people might think it's lazy even, or, oh, you're not
Yeah.
trying hard enough and things like that. It's an indoctrination.
You're exactly right. You've said it so beautifully, so perfectly right on point that and that there's something called the law of reversed effect, meaning the harder you try to do something, the farther away from you it becomes.
Mhm.
So the harder you try to go to sleep at night, the more you're awake.
Yep.
The harder you try to visualize something, and I'm using that word carefully because you're ignoring the kinesthetic, you're ignoring the knowing, you're ignoring the hearing. The harder you try, the more it will go away from you. So if
Mhm.
you really want to have transformative experiences, you have to allow them. You cannot force yourself. The moment you start that, it's going to go farther away from you. Just like fishing. You can't go fishing and start banging the water, you know, trying to hit fish on the head with your pole. You have to put the line in the water and what? Be patient. And some days you're going to catch nothing.
Mhm.
But you're going to enjoy the sun. You're going to enjoy being by the water. You're going to be able to relax maybe if you can just surrender to the process. Other days you might catch, 20 fish. But it's not going
Mhm.
to be that way every day. Some days it's going to be everything you're throwing back, throwing back, throwing back. And other days something huge. Well,
Yeah.
there's such a big aspect to us that I think is represented by the serenity prayer, the Christian serenity prayer, where we don't have control over things. And the reason that prayer exists is to remind us of this fact,
Mhm.
you know? Let me control the things that I can control. Let me give the things to you that I cannot, and let me understand and have the wisdom to recognize the difference between the two. And this realm is one of those realms where we have very, very little control. And the
Mhm.
paradox is the more you allow, the more you surrender, the more control in a way you get. Like you try to control a relationship, you're going to have all kinds of chaos and problems. The more you surrender and appreciate what's there, the happier you'll be and therefore achieve your purpose of happiness and peace.
Yeah. It's a good analogy. This is one of those times where I could do this for 2 more hours, but here we are. This was wonderful, and I know I wanna make sure that people know if they want to know more about this specific subject, you do have a book That's called Healing the Wounds of Time. Is that correct?
It is correct that I'm writing a book and that I've got 25,000 words completed, but it's not correct that it's published and it's ready to be purchased.
Okay.
But what I do have immediately is I have on my YouTube channel, which is Blue Sky Hypnosis,
Uh-huh.
270 or 80 pieces of content, and there's a lot on past life regression. And one of the videos, I have two that are past life regression for beginners. One of those two has, I think, 930,000 views or something. It's got a lot of traction. So one of the things that people could do is go to that video, and because it has so many views, it's got lots and lots of comments. And just read through the comments. It's
Mhm.
fascinating because people will say, unlike all the other videos I have, they'll write big sections. It was, 1791, and I was in France, and I was a baker, and my wife's name was Josephine, and we had 3 kids, and I recognized one of the kids as, a school teacher I had earlier in my present life, and
Mhm.
everything was going along fine, and then this thing happened. There was a fire, and and it connects to directly with what I've been dealing with in this lifetime, and it's just thousands of comments like this. It's
Mhm.
amazing. So if you want to know more, that's a perfect place to start, is right there. And if you want to, you can listen to this guided past life regression and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
For some people, again, in the comments, like, nothing happened. Other people, many, 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 they have these remarkable, intricate stories that they actually chronicle. And I'm sure that that's probably 10% of the people that actually had something happen,
Mhm.
that these people took the time to write it down. So that's where I would start if you're interested in past life regression. If you want to
Mhm.
talk to me, go to blueskyhypnosis.com and, connect with me in whatever way you want.
Yeah. I will put everything in the show notes. And the nice thing is, if you are listening or watching this on YouTube, it's going to be blended in over here somewhere, where it's your channel
Yeah.
and you just click on it and you go over there and you do that. And it's your YouTube channel. There's a reason why you have so many followers because it's so good. There's
Oh,
so
thank you.
much good stuff on there, and you don't hold back either. I mean, it's out there for everybody to play with and to do it over and
Mhm.
over again if you want to and to
Yep.
explore, and it's really, really cool. So, kudos to you. Thank you. Speaking for, everybody who loves your YouTube channel, I'm sure that everybody wants to say thank you for putting that out there because a lot of people in that realm, they put out nuggets, right?
Mm.
But it's
Mhm.
not really something that helps you, and, you listen to a video, and at the end, you still don't know what's happening and what you're supposed to do. This is real that's the real stuff that's out there, so it's really, really cool. I'm actually excited. I saw it, and I immediately subscribed, and I followed you on Instagram, and I got this beautiful message back about, a little nugget as well, and here's the link, and I was all excited, and I'm like, "Yep, I know what I'm gonna do the next 7 days." I'm gonna meditate every day to something else from your channel. So, very exciting.
Well, thank you for all that, and thank you for the invitation and for the wonderful questions and the time today. I really appreciate it. And to your
Yeah,
listeners, viewers, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was fun. Um, Thank you so much, everybody, for listening or watching. And do the things: subscribe, save, share, comment, like, whatever else there is. And yeah, thank you so much, Peter, for being here with us and for educating us and letting us into your world a little bit and having really helpful tips too for people to work with these things and, getting through blocks in their lives. And I hope you all tune in again next time. See you soon. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, a review, and share it with somebody you think needs this. Have a fabulous day. See you next time.